Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. My name is Kathy Wellick, and today you are listening to The Value of Belonging to Professional Organizations. Before we begin today's webinar, we just want to remind you that this is part of Agile's quarterly Fleet Commander Knowledge Series. Your feedback is needed to identify topics in other monthly webinars, so we do ask that you fill out the scan code at the end of the presentation and let us know what you would like to see in the future. And this webinar is being recorded, so you're all being reminded of that. And a recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, and a copy of the slides will be provided to you in 1 to 2 business days after today's webinar. Your mic will be muted during the webinar. We do encourage you, though, to ask questions. So questions is what it's all about. And with that, you will go ahead and you will click the box to show the conversation on the top of your screen, and then the chat box will open. When you leave a message, please make sure that you put your name and where you're from, just so we know who's asking the question, because on our end, it does not show that. And it just helps me out a little bit for that. So look for the click to show conversation screen, and then you'll go ahead and you will type your question and your name on the screen and hit the arrow. Today's agenda is about the value of belonging to professional organizations. Well, I know a lot of you belong to professional organizations, some of you may not, and so we just want to talk about some of those different organizations that you have. In the chat box, I highly encourage you to please list the different organizations that you belong to. It's always good to be able to help others and know if there's an organization out there that you may know about that others don't, that they can get value from. So today we're going to talk about reasons to belong to professional organizations and what makes each of these organizations unique in their value proposition. We're going to learn specifically some more information about NASF, which is formerly NCSFA, NAFA, APTA, ASHTO, NETS, and NACHSA. And then we'll end with some extra tools for your fleet toolbox. Our presenters today is myself, Kathy Wellick, and I'm the Senior Director of Client Success from Agile Fleet. And we also have Todd Parks, our Senior Client Success Manager from Agile Fleet, and Mr. Bill Schenkel, the Chief Executive Officer from NAFA. Now, I do know Mr. Schenkel is having some issues finding Wi-Fi because he is at a conference, but he is working on that. So if he's not available by the time his slides are up, I will go ahead and pinch hit for him and we'll get through the presentation for him. So why is it important to belong to different organizations? Really, there's many different ones, and this is not an all-inclusive list. But some of those important factors are networking with peers. What are your peers doing that you could be doing? Or what are you doing fantastic that you might be able to share with your peers? Many organizations also have educational workshops and webinars that you can attend on a monthly basis, just like we do. A lot of organizations have knowledge bases of information. So if you have a question, say you only go to RFP on tires every 5 years and you have a question about how somebody did that RFP, many have different knowledge bases that you can learn information or be able to see copies of RFPs that folks have done. Or you can email with peers, and those peers can tell you what they've done. You can share best practices with each other. But sometimes even more important than best practices are sharing those failures that you've had along the way, so other peers don't have to go through those same failures, and making sure that you help teach others by what you've learned from your experience. Trade shows are also invaluable. The trade shows have all the vendors with the newest technology and so forth that you can find out what's new in the industry and what products are out there that can best serve your fleet's needs. And oftentimes on those trade shows as well, there are sometimes ride and drives. These are starting to come back. They did go away at COVID time, but they're really starting to come back again. And those ride and drives are important so you can really feel what the vehicles are that you're driving, especially in this new electric vehicle world. A lot of people enjoy doing the different ride and drives and seeing how they act and so forth, these vehicles. So there's many reasons to belong to organizations. And like I said, this is not an all-inclusive list, but what we're trying to do at Agile is just make sure that you have different tools in your toolbox to make your fleet even more successful. And knowledge is power. So with that, giving you this knowledge, hopefully you can find some other folks that belong to different organizations, and hopefully you can find something that will help you. So today we're going to go through these individual organizations. And to start off, we're going to start with NASF. Many people might know of NASF, formerly as NCSFA. NASF is the new name, which better aligns with what they stand for. And it is the National Alliance of State and University Fleets. This is an elite group of fleets that are just state and university, both public and private. So we're going to tell you how to get the most mileage from an NASF membership. A little bit about the organization is that it was founded in 1986. It was originally named NASF, National Conference of State Fleet Administrators, which I alluded to earlier. In 2023, the Board of Directors and Executive Council worked very hard to change the name so it better encompassed what our organization was truly about. And that name change came to be of NASF, National Alliance of State and University Fleets, which really includes that university membership. It was incorporated in Kentucky. It's a nonprofit, non-stock corporation. It's tax exempt under the IRS Section 501c3. It's governed by an executive committee, and the memberships include states, public, and private university fleet professionals. And the private university is new in the last couple of years as well. Usually it was just public fleet. So we welcome all the university fleets into this organization. So who is on the executive committee? Who are these folks that are representing you? So this is a picture at an air museum that we went to at the recent board meeting that we had. And those people on the committee consist of Randy Tomlinson from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. President-elect is Courtney Spear from the state of Washington. Past president, Jasmine Randall from Georgia. Treasurer, Amanda Wilson from Indiana University. Secretary, Holly Gessner, state of Minnesota. Director of Strategy, Ron Gittleman from Yale. Director, Michael Bernhardt from University of Pennsylvania. Director, Mariah Focaro of Iowa. Director Corey Weeks of Utah, and the corporate liaison is myself, Kathy Wellick from Agile Fleet, and corporate liaison elect position is currently vacant. So the membership of NASF is all around the United States. As you can see in this map, anything with blue has both state and university membership. Anything with green is just state membership, and anything with red is just university membership. However, we do have two new states that just recently signed on, which is Texas and Indiana. So here's a list of the membership. I'll give you just a moment to look at that. See if there's anybody that you know there. I know there's lots of people that are doing a lot of great things across the country from these different locations. So how is the membership broken down? Municipalities, there's one member, but states, there's 34 states represented, and there's 15 universities represented. So the states that we're still looking to get representation are those that are listed. So if you know of anybody from any of those states, or if you're listening from one of those states and want to become involved, we highly recommend that you do so. So the mission of NASF is to lead, connect, and represent fleet administrators from state government and public universities. So we do that in a number of different ways. With that, we do monthly educational webinars. We have an email list and directory. They have a resource library. They have different committees that you can be a part of. They have strategic partnerships, and they hold an annual workshop, which this year is going to be in Virginia Beach, Virginia in September. So let's take a closer look at some of those member benefits. So there's monthly educational webinars. These are member-led and or corporate partner-led and can be about a variety of different topics. For example, one month it was state fleets using the EPACT tools and federal tax credits. They also have an email list and directory. With this e-list, you can get questions answered by your peers via the e-list, revisit past questions and past answers. It's a very easy step-by-step way to put an answer out, a question out there, to all of the membership. You would go to my profile, you would click on my features, and we're using Mr. Scott Edwards from the state of Colorado in this example with his permission. And then you're going to select the list that you would like and post a new message. With that, everyone gets the survey that is on that list and they can respond appropriately. A very quick way to get messages out and gather information. We also have a directory, and you can look up and contact other members of NASA by clicking on the Connections tab and selecting the browser directory. Other member benefits include the resource library. Inside this resource library, they share documents and best practices with other members in real time. So with that, they have different categories such as sustainability, fleet data and technology, fleet electrification, simple policies and procedures, vehicle replacement and life cycle, and fleet management and staffing, just to show a few. There's also many ways to get involved with different committees. So members can be a part of a committee if they want. And with that, there's a workshop committee, and this oversees and plans the educational sessions for the workshop. A programs committee, which oversees all monthly educational programming for NASA, including member-led and corporate partner webinars, and a membership outreach committee. We also have lots of strategic partners. So I know when I was a fleet manager, this was one that I really appreciated and used as well. So we have different partnerships, such as National Renewable Energy Lab provides federal updates and trainings, but we also used Vincentric. So any member of NASA automatically gets a free subscription to Vincentric's cost-to-own database. So this was very helpful when we were trying to determine life cycle costs through our bidding cycles. You're able to go in and put in the different types of vehicles and so forth and determine the future value of those vehicles. Then we have different folks such as Holly Gessner from the state of Minnesota. And she worked with an organization to be able to do a legislative update and head to Washington, D.C. and talk to all of the different points and so forth that fleet managers have to do today. This is another example of Vincentric's total cost of ownership calculator. And again, this is free with your subscription and membership. And you can choose up to 8 vehicles at once that you're comparing. We also have lots of strategic partners. So there's all kinds of fleet providers that are part of the organization, and it's a smaller group, around 100 at the conferences. So you really can talk to people very easily without being lost in a crowd. And then the highlight of the year is our annual workshop. So at the workshop, this is also unique. Your workshop registration is free with your membership. So it's all included. So there's not another additional fee on top of your registration fee to go to the conference. So with this, you get educational sessions directly tailored to state and university fleets, lots of roundtable discussions, and lots of networking opportunities to be able to build relationships. This is just a sample of the memberships. And there's also awards that are held every year. So with that, we have a Distinguished Member Award, a Fleet Excellence Award, and Environmental Leadership Award. I know sometimes people don't want to apply for awards because they think they're bragging. It's not bragging. It's when you're sharing best practices and so forth and being able to help others. By you sharing that best practice, yes, it may win you an award, but think of all the other fleet managers that you're assisting and that you're helping. So it's all right to go ahead and apply for these different awards and teach others about the great things that you're doing. And we're almost done here with NASA. The workshop networking opportunities are just all throughout the week. There's different opportunities and so forth. Here is a sample. So on one of the lunches that they had at their conference, they also had a bunch of food trucks set out for lunch. And then they also had a ride and drive, an EV showcase that you could see all types of different EV programs. And they want to invite you to remind you that their annual workshop is coming up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, September 23rd through 26th. So I highly encourage you, if you are a state or university fleet, to consider joining NASA. Next, we're going to go on and talk about NAFA. Bill, are you in the call? Give him a minute here to respond. Okay, so he does say he's in the call, but I cannot hear him yet. So, Bill, you might be on mute.
Yeah, Bill, you can unmute. You should be able to use your mic.
Okay. He says it's not letting him. He just texted me. Okay. Sorry about that, Bill. I don't know why that's not working for sure, but I will go ahead and pinch hit for you. Okay, so if anybody knows me at all, they know that I am a huge NAFA supporter as well. So NAFA is the National Association of Fleet Administrators. With NAFA members, the mission of NAFA is to propel the fleet and mobility profession through its world-class certification, education, advocacy, peer network, and peer networking groups, and is an essential element of success for individuals involved in a profession. There's 3,200 members, and you get to connect with like-minded individuals who understand your real troubles and struggles and successes and so forth in the fleet industry. So with that, there's a lot of member-to-member support in our communities. There's a wide community database in NAPA, and there are different discussions, which are both member-led and member-responded support. And there's also community-specific groups. So there's a general forum that everyone can reach into, or there's corporate fleets, government fleets, education university fleets, law enforcement, utility and telecom fleets, and regional specific groups. So what that means is you can really reach out to some other professionals that are doing the same things that you're doing every day and get good best practices and so forth from like fleets. In recent discussions, they've had multiple different things such as fleet management software, service animals policy consideration, keeping rats and mice from eating harnesses, policy enforcement for personal use, MRU and VEU calculations. Those are all excellent topics. Those are all ones that I know I had to deal with when I had my fleet as well. And then there's also a huge member directory, so you have access to those 3,200 people. NAFA is also very big on advocacy priorities and efforts. So their approach is to be the advocacy voice for fleets. So they seek to improve, not only oppose legislation and regulation that's impactful for fleets. So they advocate in coalition with other stakeholders as their strength in numbers. So we engage NAFA members in educating policymakers to deliver the fleet perspective on our priority issues, and they vet priorities and activities with the NAFA Board of Government Affairs Committee. Their priority issues are legislation and regulations pertaining to vehicle GHG emissions and transition to EVs, combating catalytic converter theft, and also securing access to vehicle-generated data, which are also some priority hot issues currently. The activities that they do to continue these advocacy priorities are to organize NAFA member facility visits with elected regulatory officials. They meet in person and virtual with NAFA members, educational briefings and meetings. They draft legislation and file comments for public rulemaking, attend legislative hearings and deliver testimony, and they engage with the regulators and legislatures in advance of NAFA's perspective. And they also provide regular advocacy updates with NAFA members and industry-related events. They have different interviews with different trade press and partner organizations, and then that information is passed on to members as well. And they publish regular advocacy-related news and backgrounds. What I love about it is they're going to the Hill, they're making it happen, they're talking to people. They're making sure that Fleet's voice is heard. In education, this is near and dear to my heart in the NAFA world as well. We offer different classes. So there's the Fleet 101 e-learning course, which is 7 comprehensive models, and these are for brand new fleet managers, folks that are brand new to fleet. Then there's the Essentials of Fleet Management seminar that's held multiple times a year, and those are for those people that want to take their fleet to the next level in their career. And then there's the CAFM. So those are those certified automotive fleet managers for those who are ready to show their mastery of the fleet profession. So CAFM is a term that you will hear quite often, and on average, a CAFM will make 25% more than a regular fleet manager. So that certification is important. It's just like having a CPA for someone in the accounting world. So the CAFM, for a little bit deeper dive, is considered of 8 modules, 8 guides, and 8 different tests. So you're going to complete and learn in all these different modules, such as asset management, business management, financial management, information management, maintenance management, professional development, risk management, and vehicle fuel. And what's really interesting too, like I've had a lot of people say, well, I don't have on-site fuel. Well, that's okay. We still want you to learn about fuel because fuel affects your rates when you're managing your assets and so forth. Fuel affects different things. You're still using fuel even if you don't have a fueling station. So all of those modules really go together to create one big package and knowledge base. You have a 3-year window to pass all 8 tests. And then they have really expanded the program to have some additional opportunities to reach out with folks. So they have monthly office hours with current CAFMs that answer questions. So in those monthly office hours, typically we will have a short, like 15-minute lesson that we will teach on one of the ideas in one of the modules. And then the next 45 minutes is just anybody can ask questions and so forth of other CAFMs who have gone through the testing process, maybe where they might be struggling or how to study for the test and so forth. And then there's also a dedicated NAFA community group for current and aspiring CAFMs. So it's just fleet helping fleet. So people can go in there and ask questions as they're studying the process. And with that as well, we also have the boot camp for the CAFM classes at the NAFA INE. And that usually happens every INE, so you can get a really deep dive into those different 8 modules. So NAFA has several events throughout the year. Their biggest is the Institute and Expo, which next year is going to be in Long Beach, California. So it is April 28th through 30th, it looks like. And with that, it is a great show. I know NAFA was great this year as well. There's a big trade show, which I think is important to NAFA, and there's a lot of CAFM courses, which is great. But it's just wonderful to see the new products and what's going on in the fleet industry. And a lot of fleet managers show up to that. Then there's also the Fleet Safety Symposium, the Road to Safety, that occurs every year. And then there's regional events. So about a year and a half ago, I'd say it is, NAFA went from having chapters to having regions. So you can see on that map on the right-hand side on that first line there, those are the different regions that we have. And each region has different things that go on, different meetings that they have, and so forth. I know, for example, in our region, which is that purple region there, we have what's called fans. It's a coffee the first Friday of every month where we just get online and we can talk anything fleet. Last time we had like 35 people on the call, and you can just ask any questions of what's going on. It's a great way to connect. Many of these different regions also have different golf events and bring in different safety education and so forth. And those local chapters are called local networking groups now, and those are just smaller groups inside the region. They also have Fleet Solutions Live, and they have the Essentials of Fleet Management classes, the 100 Best Fleets webinar series, and 100 or the Green Fleet webinar series. And on that, they also have awards. So the 100 Best Fleets of America and the top green fleets. I highly encourage you to fill those out and really work on those applications every year as well, because it really has you take your fleet to the next level. So you get a baseline and numbers and so forth of what your fleet is doing for your KPIs, and then you work towards just making that fleet a little better every year and so forth. So I highly encourage you to partake in those as well. And then publications, there's no shortage of publications. You get the Fleet Solutions magazine, you get it physically and digitally bi-monthly. You have access to digital editions with the archive, and it's all member-driven content from the editorial committee that NAFA has. And then you also get the Fleet Pulsar newsletter, which is a bi-weekly digital newsletter. It has thought leadership, NAFA news, community discussion highlights. There's usually a question every time and so forth, with responses as to, a current hot topic and how people are handling it. So it's a really good way to get information for that as well. And then last but not least, the membership of NAFA. It has an annual individual membership, so it renews on the anniversary date of when you join. And then the group membership options are also available for organizations that have multiple people at that same organization. An individual membership is $549 a year. And to learn more, you can go to www.nafa.org /membership to learn more about NAFA. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but I will need Anna to provide me what those questions are. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Parks, and he's going to talk about some additional organizations.
Thanks, Kathy. And so NASF and NAFA, you can't find a better promoter than Kathy Wellick for those two organizations. I've had the opportunity to belong to the organization more on the private sector or more as a vendor over the past couple of years, and they're amazing organizations. And I think everything that we're going to talk about here is mostly about finding a community and a network and resources. And that's what a lot of these organizations provide. And for a lot of our customers, They manage fleet and people from various public sectors. So all of these organizations we're going to talk about here, they may not apply to everybody attending this webinar, but the goal is more about exposure, right? So here's a list of some additional resources that or additional organizations that you may want to look further into. And we did some of that digging for you. So Kathy, can you go to the next slide? APTA, right, it is the American Public Transportation Association, and they encompass all forms of public transportation, whether that's bus, paratransit, light rail, commuter rail, subways, and the list goes on. And they've been an organization that's been around for quite a while, since 1882, right? These members, what their focus is on planning, designing, financing, construction, operating, and maintaining, right? Different vehicles, different equipment, and transit related products. Can you go to the next one? Again, going back to those resources and networks, they have all of these different research reports, transit statistics, publications, right? Here's the list of maybe some of the most recent publications, and this might apply to you as you're managing your fleet, right? Public transportation ridership update, different grants that might be applicable to you and your fleet. Those are resources that you'll have access to. In the next slide. And Kathy talked about this a lot with NAFA. There's a lot of educational opportunities to not only advance your knowledge, but advance your earning capabilities. Kathy talked about that. When you get these certifications, they enable you not only as a fleet manager, not only as somebody caring for the fleet and the people within your department, but also your earning potential as well. So as you get certifications, it'll help you grow your professional career. And you can go to the next one. So here's some conferences and events that they have upcoming, right? Things that might apply to interests that you have or things that you're tasked with. Definitely the safety and risk management seminar or the Transform conference may be something that you want to show up to, just depending, again, what your responsibilities are. And so last but not least, we'll go to the next slide and just how to join. So they break your membership up into different categories. What you need to do is you need to find which category. And if you go to their website, they have definitions for these categories. And once you define your category, submit your membership application over to membership@apta.com. And that's how you qualify or join. So the next one is the American Association of State Highway and Traffic Officials. Again, this was what we've heard from people that they belong to. You can go to the next slide, Kathy. So this is an association, right? It's a nonprofit, nonpartisans, and it's from transportation and highway departments from 50 states, all here in District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. And again, it comes back to a lot of that education, right? Not only educating yourself as a fleet manager, but also educating lawmakers and others the needs that you have within your fleet, in some ways that you can help, transform the industry. And so it acts as a liaison between state departments of transportation and the federal government. You can go to the next slide there. So membership of AASHTO is, I thought this was pretty interesting. There are people that qualify and people that don't qualify, right? So you could qualify to be part of an associate membership if you work in or you manage port, tolls, highway commissions, authorities, or DOTs. You do not qualify if you are in the private sector, right? So it is really a niche community for those that are in the state highway and transportation. Go to the next one. So they actually have regional associations, and they talk about different things that they might have where you get together as individual locations. So they have 5 different locations. The fee is a little bit different. We found out it's $3,500 per year, but obviously there's a lot of benefits with all of the access that you have, not only to training, but all of the publications as well as that network. The network is huge. So you can go to the next one. Nets. This is one that I know a lot of insurance people that are in the insurance world, they're focused and familiar with, right? It's a network of employers for traffic safety. Go to the next slide, Kathy. And it's purely built around traffic safety, right? It was actually founded by the NHTSA, and it's all about advocacy for road safety among drivers, employees, and their families and communities. It is led by an executive director under the guidance of board of directors, but day-to-day operations is by a team of employees and contractors. The main thing is this is primarily focused on safety. As you run a fleet, you want to know where you benchmark or how you rank. What can you be doing better? This is all about how do you protect those, because again, we talk a lot about vehicles and assets, but the people inside those vehicle and assets, how do we protect them? And so this is what this network is all about. Go to the next slide. Some of the different sectors that that they focus on. So there's a wide breadth, right? It doesn't have to be just public. It could be private. Healthcare, insurance, transportation services, utilities, all of these different walks of life, managing fleets and managing safety programs. They're getting together and they're talking about best practices and how do we make our roads more safe for everyone. So if you want to join NETS, you have the opportunity. And again, there's more guidelines as you go to their website. But depending on how many employees you have, you will qualify for either small business, non-government, or tier 1 through 3. So if you need more information, go there, sign up. It's a great organization, again, solely focused on safety. And I know one of the greatest costs that we have in managing fleets comes down to a lot of the insurance costs. A lot of our people are privately, or they are insured or personally insured, right? So this helps with a lot of those programs. Next, and finally, we will go to NACHSA, right? So again, we have customers in all different walks of fleet and people. So this is the National Association of County Human Services and Administrators. And it's an opportunity for agencies to get together where they provide public assistance, child care, child protective services, and adult protective services to get together and have a community to talk about those things that are pertinent, but also, again, as we manage those fleet professionals that may drive or operate those vehicles, it's a great organization to be involved in, because there's a lot of different laws, and the laws are ever changing. So it's a great way to have membership and learn more about what's impacting those within human services of administration. So the benefits, again, having information, having a network, learning firsthand from colleagues. I think that's the one that you'll see as the resounding message is people going through the same issues, problems, struggles when managing their fleets, having the idea to bounce ideas off of them and say, oh, I've had that problem before. I can go on, like, this is how we addressed it. And obviously your county or your association might be a little bit different, but the opportunity to spitball and collaborate is the value there is so tremendous, and you can learn from the victories and also the pitfalls of people who have gone before you or who are going through it at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that. So just a reminder too, we provide here at Agile Fleet lots of tools for your fleet toolbox to help you succeed. And as a reminder, some of those resources are, agilefleet.com has a lot of online resources. We have our fleet management blog as well. We have Workshop Wednesdays, which we do an online webinar every third Wednesday. And then we do the quarterly webinars once a quarter, which is like what we're on today. With that, our next workshop Wednesday is going to be June 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And that is going to be back to basics on the configuration and navigation. So you'll want to make sure and sign up for that. And that should be coming out soon from the marketing department. Anna does a fantastic job, Anna and Mike, to get those out to us. And then as a reminder too, if you go to our YouTube channel at Agile Fleet Commander, you can see all our previous videos and workshops and so forth on there, and you can watch them at your leisure. So if there's something that you can think of that you want to go back and check out and learn more about, you can certainly go there, and there's a wealth of information for you. Then let's talk about Command 2024. So I would encourage you to open up your phones right now, take a picture of the QR code. So Command 2024 is our annual user conference, and this year it's going to be held in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it will be Tuesday, October 1st through Thursday, October 3rd. And it will be 3 days of networking and different programs. So we will have different clients speaking. You will have different Agile employees speaking. There is a class on maintenance. There's a class for new users. There's a customer advisory board. Action-packed 3 days to really help you collaborate. And I've been blessed to be at Command as both a client and now as an employee. And it is just so good and powerful to be able to be in the same room with other users. I tell this story, the last one I was at as a client, even though I've been a client for years, I'm like, man, I wish the system could do this. And the guy ahead of me said, it can, let me show you. And he says, but I wish it could do this. And I said, but it can, let me show you. So there's just something about being in the same room with other users in a setting that is collaborative and you can share best practices and ideas and so forth. So knowledge is power, right? So empower your staff. So if you click on that, you can register now and get all signed up for the conference. And then too, just like I encouraged folks to, apply for the 100 Best Fleets from NAFA and the Green Fleet Awards, we want you to share your accomplishments, right? Be a thought leader. Your Agile team can help. So with that, what we mean, do you need a PowerPoint to be able to do a presentation for somebody? Do you need to have some graphs of what your utilization looks like? Have you been able to reduce your fleet by 30%? And we need to, help you write an article or something about that. We're here to help. Everybody has a story, right? So we're here to help you find your story and to voice your story and to be your voice. And that's not a bad thing. It's a helping thing. It's to help others, right? So help us make our workshop Wednesdays and our quarterly webinars better. To do that, you can also click on this QR code with your smartphone camera, and that will take you to a brief survey that you can fill out and give us different content ideas and so forth for future webinars. And I am free to take any questions. Does anybody have any questions for Todd or I? And I am in a different setting today, so I do not have my additional screen, so I'm not able to see what those questions are. So Anna, if there's a question, will you please let me know?
Will do.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other organizations that they belong to that we maybe didn't mention that could be helpful to your peers? If so, I invite you to throw that in the chat as well. Okay. Well, hearing no questions, again,
It
I'd
looks
like
like,
to. Oh,
sorry, Kathy, we've
go
got
ahead.
one question. Do
Okay.
NAFA regions meet in person or virtually?
Oh, that's a great question. Anna, can you please let Bill Schenkel?
Yep, I'm here.
There you go.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Bill.
everybody.
Thanks for
Thanks.
joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for pinch hitting there. I don't know, I was scrambling and had a little issue, so I appreciate it. Yeah, so
No
our
worries.
NAFA regions actually do meet in person and virtually. Actually, they do both. So we've actually had we have a lot of regions doing. So in the last year or so, we've had about I think 74 total in-person events, and those in-person events can be from things as simple as groups getting together for lunch or coffee and having a discussion about issues or initiatives that they're all dealing with, to golf tournaments, baseball games, to full conference type sessions that they've done, where we've had several regions do full day conferences with multiple speakers and cover those types of things. And then we also have some that are meeting virtually as well, just because I know it's hard to get around and see everybody, so they do virtual as well. But it's a mix, and we're seeing more and more do the in-person events out and about.
And Bill, just to add on to that, that was one thing, where I know our region has been talking about how we can get back to more in-person and stuff. And when I was talking to fellow folks at the NAFA INE this year, they were just saying, build it and they will come. So do it and they will come in person again. It might take a little while to build that back after COVID, but people are ready to see people again. So. And on that NAFA as well, again, if you would like to join us for the first Friday of the month coffee, that is at 8:30 Central Time, so it'd be 9:30 Eastern Standard Time this coming Friday. And you can go to NAFA's website under events and you can register for that there. And you do not have to be, the beauty of the region is you don't have to be a member of that region to be a part of it. You can still attend any region's events. So just because you aren't geographically in a certain region, but you see a topic that you would like that's being presented in another region, by all means, you can sign up for that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any others in the chat.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time. I really appreciate it. So Friday is the coffee, and then June 19th is our workshop Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And I know we got done a little bit early today, but you'll get 10 minutes back, and I won't tell anybody you're off your call 10 minutes early. So enjoy your afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.